Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS Current Affair Analysis for 28 January 2021. In this video, we'll be discussing this couple of issues. The first article titled Troubling Trends is in regards with the growing inequality. We have recently had an Oxfam report stating that COVID pandemic has actually accentuated the existing inequalities in our society. Now let us have a look at this news article, the background behind it. So this article comes in the wake of the slow recovery that the world is witnessing after the COVID pandemic. The recovery is yet to be complete. It is uneven amongst countries, where certain countries are very much devastated with the impact of this, and there are some other countries which are on a better path comparatively. However, across the world, the economic inequality within a society has increased. That is a common trend across the world. And the same thing has been documented in a report by Oxfam International. So, this organization came up with a survey which has revealed that the 1,000 people across the world recovered their losses from the pandemic within 9 months. Now compare that with the world's poorest. What happens to them? They can actually take a decade almost to come back to normalcy. That is the pre-pandemic time. So compare this 9 months for the rich people and a decade for them to come back to even subsistence levels. This is a stark reality of the times that we are living in. World Economic Forum recently had a great theme for its summit. It has called for a great reset of capitalism. Now, what we are talking about with respect to capitalism in the past few months with respect to World Economic Forum. World Economic Forum has been time and again in news for its corporate governance strategy of stakeholder capitalism. That is, in the process of production of any activity or in an economy, all the stakeholders are considered and their interests are also considered into account whenever profits are being redistributed. So, this stakeholder capitalism talks about caring for all the stakeholders and ensuring that redistribution happens so that this inequality does not keep on rising like this. Now, this great reset of capitalism goes much beyond that. We are basically talking about a world where there is a commitment to jointly and urgently build the foundations of our economic and social system, which are fair, which are sustainable, so that we have what we know today as intergenerational equity. That is, a future where kids do not have the problem of lack of resources. We should ensure that our model of development leaves something behind for our future generations. In the past, many such slogans were raised, but what we know today as the neoliberal economic order, this is a keyword that we have to understand. Neoliberalism basically is about having access to best technology, best resources, and the objective here is to gain wealth. This has created differential access to different countries because of the historical advantage that certain countries had. Say, for example, Britain is one such country which had the advantage of utilizing resources across the world, across the Commonwealth nations. So, obviously, it will have a head start when compared to countries in Africa. So, this neoliberal model ignores to an extent this aspect of historical injustice that many countries met, and the objective is only about gaining wealth. Obviously, when such a model is mainstreamed, what will happen is this great economic divide that we see between the rich countries and the poor countries. And not just within the countries, even inside a particular country, like, say, for example, in India itself, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, and this trend is witnessed across the world because of this neoliberal world order. Now, it is time that we relook at our model of capitalism and consider what the World Economic Forum has been advocating time and again. So, that is the gist of this article. This article titled Supreme Court asks for timeline on appointments. This is a major issue with respect to judicial vacancies. Now, let us also try to understand the collegium system for the appointment of judges and the entire controversy surrounding this main problem. So, the context is Supreme Court has questioned the delay caused by the government in clearing the collegium recommendations for judicial appointments. Now, let us try to understand what this collegium system means. Collegium system is a methodology or a system followed by our present framework of government and the judiciary to appoint and transfer judges, and this has evolved through a system of judgments of the Supreme Court. This is not by an act of parliament. This is the most important prelims pointer that you have to remember for beginning this issue. This is not an act by the parliament. Did the parliament enact any law? Yes. They have created the National Judicial Appointment Commission through a constitutional amendment as well, but it was struck down by the Supreme Court, saying that it is a violation of the basic structure doctrine of our constitution, which evolved from the times of Keshavananda Bharati case. So, what is today known as collegium system has evolved in the third judge's case. Third judge's case occurred in 1998, and in this, the Supreme Court, on precedent's reference, expanded the collegium system, which evolved in a second judge's case. Now, this second judge's case was a precedent for first judge's case. So, let us come back to this first judge's case and see the evolution of this. In the first judge's case, it was declared that the primacy of the Chief Justice of India and his recommendations on the judicial appointments and transfers can be refused for certain cogent reasons. So, this ruling gave the executive primacy over the judiciary in judicial appointments. So, after this case, executive has been having an upper hand when compared with judiciary. This continued for almost 12 years because this started in 1981, and in 1993 we have had the second judge's case. In this case, what happened is what we know today as the collegium system came into existence. Holding consultation really means concurrence as per the judgment in this case. So, in this case, it added that the Supreme Court's Chief Justice individual opinion is not enough, but an institutional opinion formed in consultation with two more judges in Supreme Court. So, this was the second judge's case. This two more judges ambit was increased in the third judge's case, what we are referring now, and the number has been increased to 5 judges. So, Supreme Court's Chief Justice should take the opinion of 5 more judges, and that opinion is binding. So, what is the role of government after this? Isn't it a complete subjugation of power? Not exactly, because even though the government role is limited, the government role is limited to getting an inquiry conducted by the Intelligence Bureau. If a lawyer is to be elevated as a judge in a high court case, this is because there shouldn't be any conflict of interest. Intelligence Bureau can also raise objections and seek clarifications, but if the collegium reiterates the same names, the government has no other option but to go and appoint those or one of those people as judges. Now, for a very long time, the government has kept those recommendations on a back burner and has not been appointing various judges. The vacancies are increasing, and judicial pendency is a big issue. Now, judicial vacancy is a big problem when you have such huge number of cases, because the cases are meant to be disposed of. That is the reason the Supreme Court has asked for a timeline and said that if you have any problem with the recommendations of the collegium, please reiterate those recommendations, so we'll take necessary action. But just give a timeline so that we can have a clarity on how to go about this. So this is the key takeaway from this article. One has to note that the reason why Supreme Court was not in a position to ask a clear cut deadline is because there is no such time frame whenever we are talking about appointments of judicial vacancies. There is no such law which mandates a definitive timeline. So that is the gist of this article.